today's world, I believe that we throw this word legend around. I watch people on social media, and there's a kid that got on there and they got a couple thousand followers, and suddenly they're referred to as a legend. And nothing bothers me more than that word, that title, that honor. That's something that somebody is put work in for so long, then suddenly they're calling these people who have not had the resume that our special guest speaker this morning has. If you're a fan of bodybuilding, I kind of put a little teaser out there a little bit, and I was pleased to see that many people agreed with me. The person who has probably the most classic physique of all time. Matter of fact, today they started a division called Classic Physique because of the gentleman that I'm about to introduce you to. What were you doing in 1977, 1978, and 1979 when this man was bringing home Mr. Olympia titles? The best body on planet Earth, the most classically proportioned body on planet Earth, one of the most intelligent bodybuilders on planet Earth. Men, I want you to make welcome my special guest today, three-time Mr. Olympia, genius bodybuilder, the most aesthetic physique of all time, Mr. Frank Zane. Legend, good morning, sir. Welcome to our call.
Well, Clark, I hope I can live up to all of that.
Well, you already have, sir. All you got to do now is open your mouth and speak, because you got a
I will.
waiting to hear from you.
Congratulations on all the work you're doing with these gentlemen. That's really fantastic, giving them guidance like this.
Well, that's what we do, right? You know, we acquire this knowledge over the years and we put it on to other people. And throughout our time, we've had the opportunity to meet and work together a few times. And you did that for me. I can remember some of the information that you shared with me when we were at trade shows, and we talked prior to this call, and we compared my 5 principles: mindset, meals, movement, community, and supplementation to yours. So why don't you share with the men what you believe is going to help them achieve the goals that they're setting out to achieve?
Well, I call this the bodybuilding formula or bodybuilding blueprint, and basically it's G equals EARN, and that's a mnemonic device. E stands for exercise, and there's 4 categories of exercise. First is weight training, of course. Then there is aerobic activity, and then there is posing. And so those are the factors involved in building your body. Oh, the other one is stretching. So it's WASP, weight training, aerobics, stretching, and posing. Those are all the different forms of exercise that you can do to get in shape. Now, the next letter is A, attitude. And basically that's involved with what you think about, what you say, and what you do. And it's also about having a goal, something to go for. You really have to have some kind of goal. I always did, you know, for all those years I competed, I kept a notebook and I wrote everything down in that. And at the beginning of the notebook, I would write a calendar and put on that calendar the date I planned to peak. Usually it was to compete, but toward the end of my career, it was just about reaching a peak so I can take photos. And I did that every year pretty much. And EAR, R is recuperation. And basically that's involved with getting enough sleep by, depending on what your situation is. 7 to 8 hours a day is optimum. I don't really get all that at one clip, but I do tend to take a nap in the afternoon, or at least a meditation session. The other one, of course, is meditation, sitting and in a quiet place where you won't be disturbed and clearing your mind. The whole thing is not to think about anything. Of course, that's almost impossible. But I would say mantra, which basically is a saying. It can be in any language. Like, for example, you might say, I am strong and creative. That's an English mantra. But I have a couple that I use on a regular basis. And basically what a mantra does is it crowds out negative thinking. If you just let your mind wander all the time, a lot of the times it'll dwell on things like doubt and worry. And you want to be present-centered and not have any of that going on. So the less of that you can do, the better off you'll be. You know, try to maintain a positive attitude as much as possible all the time. So it's EAR. And then, of course, is one of the most important things, not that any one is more important, I treat them all equally, is nutrition. If you don't eat correctly, you're never going to get in shape. You know, I mean, you can see younger people, for example, they're guys in their teens, they don't have to pay as much attention to it because, you know, they have a younger, more effective metabolism. But as you get older, it gets more and more important. Now, at my age, I really have to stick to a good diet. I pretty much eat the same way all the time. It's a breakfast of eggs and cheese and avocado and some whole grain toast. And then dinner around 4 o'clock is pretty much some kind of meat. Usually it's fish, it might be chicken or turkey, and a vegetable or salad. And I stick to that all the time. Before bed, I might have a small piece of fruit. I take amino acids throughout the day between meals. And I've been doing this for 30, 40 years. So it works, and I keep doing it.
You know, I love that because it's so in line with what we teach here. And some of the notes that I took here, you said you kept a notebook and the date you plan to compete. What I tell my guys is you're only committed to what you confess. So basically that's what you're saying. You put a date out there and you put it out to the world. So now you understand that you have to do that because it is something that you have committed to, not just emotionally, but verbally, and let other people know as well. So I got a question.
That's right.
Do you have a trophy hanging around you anywhere there that you could show these guys?
I brought one up from my gym. It's in the background. I'll go grab it. Hold on.
We need to see that right now.
All right, hold on.
I made a special request. He's got 3 of these laying around and they're in his gym, but we need to see this thing. Let's go. How many times are you going to call when you have a man that won 3 of these and he pulls it out and he shows it to you right now? Look at this. Let's see this Sandow. Talk about this a little bit. Hold it up there a little bit higher. A little bit higher. There we go.
The Sandow trophy. It weighs about 30 pounds. And of course, I won 3 of these. Actually, I won the first one in 1977. It's the first time they gave that out, so that's a special honor. But, you know, they occupy a special place in my gym.
That is phenomenal. So with that in mind, Legend, we have someone here on the call that wants to say hi. You and I had talked about him a little bit last week, and he and I want to come down and train with you this week coming up if we can do that. So we got a special guest that wants to say hello to you. You've inspired this man's career tremendously. Go ahead, bud.
Frank Zane. Hello, my brother. Mike O'Hearn here. And
Hey, Mike.
honored to be here. I was talking to Clark, I guess it was around 4:30 this morning, and we were talking about how he was having you on. And I thought that was just ironic because today I am going over to Gold's Gym to talk about you on a documentary they're doing on you today over at Gold's Gym Venice with Alex Ardente. And so it's an honor, and it's such a small world, and you have been such an influence to not just me, but to the world of health and fitness. And I just wanted to say it's a pleasure to be on here with you today.
Well, thanks very much, Mike. Yeah, I've done some interviewing and shooting with Alex, and I'm looking forward to his documentary. His title was what? Frank Zane Defined. So that's an interest. I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I like Alex, and he shows up with his 3 boys, and each one is manning a camera. And we've met a few times in my gym, and you know, it should be really interesting. By the way, you're invited to come down and work out with me in my gym at any time. I don't know if I have enough weights for you, but you know, I have some AFS equipment like leg press and pull down, which can go quite heavy. So whatever you need.
All I want is that knowledge. I want to suck up that knowledge from you and the love that you have for it, for life.
Well, I guess I'm a bodybuilder for life now. I've been at it 61 years. From age 14, you know, ever since I picked up a barbell, my hands stuck to it. And still at this age, I'm 78, and I'm still doing the best I can.
My current training partner is an acquaintance and friend of yours, Robbie Robinson. And it's amazing. And I hope these people here with Clark today understand the reading the books can get you only so far. It's that experience that takes you that journey, and your experience is beyond anybody. And I hope everybody really sucks up that knowledge from you today. And thanks for taking time. And obviously Clark's an incredible man and a godfather to my son. So I can understand you wanting to team up with him. So I think it's great that you're here today.
Thank you. Rob, speaking of Robbie, what a fantastic champion he is. And I think he's in his early 70s now, and he's still at it, still looks fantastic. So I have a lot of respect for him. He was basically the person that pushed me the hardest in training in 77. I saw photos of him in the gym, and I was thinking, God, how am I ever going to beat that or get on top of this? And it was really a push, but I had the attitude at least. But Robbie had a phenomenal physique, just amazing, and he still looks really good.
What's one of your favorite memories from the Gold's Gym days training? And so we talk about community here at the Nanotest Performance System for Men, and that is a big part of what we do. What we're experiencing right now is the community. I couldn't think of a more you had referenced it in some of the videos I watched. It was such a small world back then in those days of bodybuilding, what we all consider the golden era, the best time in bodybuilding. What was it like training at Gold's Gym and the community that you guys created and the bond that you had and how that affected each other?
Well, I arrived in Santa Monica in 1969. I lived about a mile and a half from Gold's Gym, and I was a school teacher. I was teaching mathematics at a nearby junior high school in Venice. And so I didn't have all the time in the world to train because then I was going to graduate school too. But I had the summers off, and that enabled me to really go all out and train for competition in the summer. So it worked out pretty nicely. But it was fantastic. Gold's Gym, I wrote sort of a poem about that. I don't have it in front of me, but it was really great. It's not many windows or doors, but it had very good mirrors. And that was the thing. I would get there about 7 in the morning or so. And Zabel Kazuski, which was one of my idols, a really nice guy, known for his abdominals. He did 500 Roman chair sit-ups in the morning and 500 leg raises in the afternoon. And I patterned my abdominal work after what these people were doing at the gym, and and it was sort of old school, but it really worked. I remember one day I was doing Roman chair sit-ups, and my goal was to do them for a half an hour more each day. And so the first day I did them for half an hour, and I eventually worked up to 2.5 hours. And my focus was really keen. What I would do is I would focus on the 4 corners of the room and sort of try to be there and view myself doing them from below. Arnold said he walked in one day and he tried to talk to me, but he could tell I wasn't there. And so he just left. But those were great days. I mean, it was a pretty closely knit community where everybody's social life was the same as with the guys who were in the gym. But we've been away from that for some time now. Everybody's moved. Draper was there, now he's in Santa Cruz, and Arnold's still in LA area, and I'm in La Mesa, San Diego area. And so we do our thing from where we're at, but it's still working really good.
Well, that's focus. If you have Arnold walk in and he's trying to ask you a question and you just completely blow him off, that right there is legendary in and of itself. So you're famous for your vacuum pose. There's nobody on planet Earth that looks as good as you did. The shoulders compared to the way the vacuum was pulled in, probably higher and deeper than anybody. Can you still do that today?
Yeah, of course it doesn't look the same, but I can still do the pose. And basically I found the key to doing that pose. The exercise was dumbbell pullover lying across the bench. And to develop the serratus muscles to maximum, And you might see some people doing that today, but they really don't have the serratus to match how good the vacuum is. You got to have them both. And I really haven't seen that many good vacuums. You know, Arnold had a good vacuum, and also Mike Benser had a pretty good vacuum too. But I don't see anybody today. I often thought it should be made into a compulsory pose for the behemoths that compete today.
What I love what you said, that you had your vacuum in the middle of your routine, and Arnold walked in when he wasn't competing in those years, and he walked up to you and said, hey, listen, just put it at the end. Sometimes those subtle little suggestions that we can give people, you know, looking in from the outside. How important was it for you to listen to that coaching that you got from someone who was, you know, your competition?
Well, we always did, but you know, at the time, actually that happened at the 1970 London Mr. Universe. I was competing in the amateur division and Arnold was in the pro division. And he watched my routine and he saw me doing the vacuum, but I did it in the middle right there. And he says, you know, you want to finish with that because that's your best pose. And so I took his advice. We used to have posing sessions. We call them posing clinics, where we'd go to Arnold's apartment and it'd be Arnold, Franco Colombo, and me, and we just do routines and critique each other. And anytime anybody would give a posing routine, we would get criticism from the other. Like I'd always ask Arnold what he thought. He talked about the most meticulous things about how I moved my feet or where my feet were placed, things like that. You know, and so we learned a lot. And at the end, it resulted in everybody looking better.
That's amazing, man. That is amazing. I mean, guys, listen, you're talking to a man who sat in an apartment chilling, 3 buddies with Franco, Arnold, Frank Zane. This is legendary stuff. I mean, me and Mike O'Hearn, I know right now, are just sitting here absolutely geeking out. And we don't do that that much, right? And man, I don't want this to end. I honestly don't. You mentioned pullovers, right? I feel like that exercise kind of left the staple of gym exercises in the 80s. We used to do that back in the 80s as heavy as we could. As a matter of fact, we would find the hottest girl in the gym to sit on our waist and keep our hips down while we were pulling over. That was kind of like a little weird move, but you know, that's the kind of stuff in the gym in the 80s. What is some of the fondest memories you have of your illustrious career?
Well, I guess winning would be the most, winning the Olympia 3 times, the first time. It was all very, what you may call synchronistic, some of the things that happened. I remember I was on stage and we had the top 6 standing on stage, and Reg Park was a great guy. I really loved Reg, you know, spent some time with him in South Africa in 1978, but he was one of the judges and he walked past me and he had his judging tablet next to his chest. And at the time I said to myself, I said, please, universe, give me a sign right now so I can act more like the winner. And at that moment, Reg Park walked right past me with his tablet that said, Frank Zane won, Robbie Robinson. I don't know who else was there, Robbie Robinson and Corny. And that, I knew I was the winner at that point. So it was amazing.
Wow. Hey, Mike, take over the questions right now for me. I got to go get my plug-in. My battery's dying. I don't want to lose this. Mike, ask questions.
I got you. I got a question, and you guys just kind of led into it about the pullover. Pullover is in today's society, I guess, they consider it an old school exercise. That I believe that the old school exercises or the fundamental exercises are the actual key exercises that we should always continuously do. What is your opinion on basic exercises and people trying to be so advanced and try everything under the sun compared to just staying with the basics?
Well, I think you got to do the basics. And I certainly did a lot of those with free weights, with barbells and dumbbells. Now my gym, I have a lot of machines, which I can get the same effect, but it matters how you do that exercise. I find out what you should do to get the most out of it for the serratus and not overdevelop like the rib cage and, you know, get your upper abs too thick, was to lie with your head where when you turn your head from side to side, the bench went right in the base, right at the top of your neck, right at the base of your skull. And in that position, with my arms slightly bent, I would lower the dumbbell all the way to the floor, almost touching it, and then stop with the weight over my face, keeping the tension on that area. Then I always stretched between sets. I would do one exercise called the one-arm shoulder stretch, where I basically would hold my arm over my head. I don't want my trophy to fall here on the floor. Okay, like this, and pull my elbow back with my arm, with each arm. And I did a lot of stretching all the time, stretch for 15 seconds after each set. And I still do that.
I love that you say that, because one of the things I believe in, and I'm known for lifting extremely heavy. But the one thing that I think is more important than heavy weights is the idea of stretching or flexibility for longevity. And I notice a lot of 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds nowadays they're already achy, and the elbows and the knees and everything hurts on them, and they're so stiff relative to the, you know, I've been doing this for 40 years, and the range of motion or my flexibility is still there. Is flexibility something that's important to you? I mean,
yeah,
you still do it today, but where is that on the level of importance?
Well, it's really important, because I think as you get older, you get stiffer, especially if you don't stretch. And so I stretch all the time. Even when we walk every morning with our dog for about 1.5 miles. And what I do is I do an exercise called one leg up stretch, where I elevate one leg and lean forward to stretch my lower back and my hamstring. And that really, really helps, you know, alleviate any kind of tension in my lower back. So over the years, I've accrued, you know, a number of injuries, and those things don't ever seem to go away. They sort of go into abeyance, and they're easily aggravated. So I take precautions to keep warm when I'm training. I use Niken body magnets in certain areas, like on my lower back, to keep blood in the area. In the gym, I wrap my weight stacks with rubber cables. I use body elastics, rubber cable that have clips on the end. So I wrap one around my weight stack. I use the green ones. And so as the weight stack rises up, the cable tension kicks in. So I'm getting the best resistance I possibly could. I'm getting resistance due to gravity from the weights, and resistance due to elasticity from the cable stretching. And it enables me to use less weight. And that's made it a lot easier on my joints. You know, that's the thing. What hurts your joints is going heavy. And especially if you're not ready to do that, if you don't warm up, if you're not strong enough, you know, and so that becomes especially important as you get older. And my motto is make lighter weights feel heavier. And I do that by using strict form, slower negatives, using rubber cables wrapped around weight stacks, for example, to get even more tension. The main thing is to get a good pump. That's my goal. Every movement I do, I want to get a good pump, because that's what matters the most. And I always do.
We got to open this up for questions. I know we got a lot of guys on here, man. I saw people's faces legitimately when they saw that you were coming on. They're like, their faces were, you know. Sharad, do you have any questions for 3-time Mr. Olympia, Frank Zane? Because I know you were flipping out in South Africa.
I couldn't believe it, because when you put that post on Facebook, I saw it just before I went to go train, and my first name was Frank Zane, Reg Park, and I thought, I'm gonna put Frank Zane, and I thought, okay, wait, you know, I always liked Frank Zane because he just had that classic aesthetic physique, and when you got him on today, I thought, wow, this is unbelievable. And Reg Park, because he's South African, well, he came from the UK, but he spent most of his life in South Africa. And I think Frank Zane spent 1978 year in South Africa. I know I was just getting into high school, and people were talking about Frank Zane and Reg Park. So I don't have questions, but he answered a lot of what I was thinking in what he said, and just wow, I'm just blown away. Thank you.
And of all the days you decide to come on the Zoom with no shirt, it's the day Frank said.
It is so hot here in Cape Town, you won't believe it. So,
I've never been to Cape Town, but I spent the summer of 1971 in South Africa training.
okay.
And it was basically around Johannesburg. And I
Okay.
really loved it there. I mean, the food was great and I did nothing but train. It was wonderful. Then I competed in the 71 universe. And of course, Bill Pearl won that year, but I was really muscular. There's some
Yeah.
photos around that. It was really, an incredible experience.
Yeah.
Anybody
Wow.
got any questions for the legend here while we have him? It's almost his dinner time, so we got to let him off.
I have one more question. I know that, for the magazines, we have to show our physique and we have to appease the photographers and the public. My question is, you're a big believer in keeping warm in a sense, and that has probably got more and more over the years. Is that something that you believe? Do you wear sweatshirts now? Do you cover up? Because I'm one of these guys that believes in, I cover the body, full sweat clothes to hide the physique. I can still connect with it. I don't need to see it. But what's your point of view on because you were talking about warmth and keeping the body warm while you train?
Well, the only place I train is in my personal gym, which is 600 square feet, just loaded with all the equipment I need. And so the temperature is always, pretty good. So I'm usually training with the t-shirt, keeping my shoulders covered. I don't really cover up more than that. And I might, I stretch and sometimes pose between sets, flexing the muscles and, work out relatively quick, maybe doing a set every 2 minutes, working slightly heavier every set. And, I always get a good pump. I do right now a two-way split, upper body one day and legs the next, but most of my career I've done a three-way split, doing pulling muscles, back biceps forms day one, legs day two, chest, shoulders, triceps day three, rest day four. And I've probably done more of that than any other routine, which I really like. And if I had a reason to get in top shape again, which I don't right now, I mean, I stay in okay shape, but I don't do anything like extravagant training to peak, I would do that routine again. I think that's the best routine, the one I found for myself.
Anybody
How
got
do you
any
train, Mike?
questions?
How's your training? How do you organize your training?
He's light.
I split it up. I usually do one body part a day, so 5 days, unless I'm getting ready for something like we're getting ready for a movie now, so we'll bump it up to 2 body parts a day, is what I do. And again, it's for me, I love the meditation. I love going early in the morning, so it's very cold. I train at 4 in the morning, so I cover up quite a bit. But I do want to ask one question. I think everybody needs to hear this again. You were saying something earlier when I logged in, that nutrition. Is nutrition number one when it comes
If I had
to
to choose, I'd say yeah, because if you're not eating right, nothing's going to happen. Now, maybe if you're young enough, you can see something happening. When you get older, nothing happens unless you're on a good diet. You really have to be. I know I have to be, but I eat the same all the time, so it's easy.
I'm the same way. I think it's interesting that most people want to be beasts in the gym and they want to be savages. I lift heavy. I do full body every day, but it has so much more, like you're saying, and you're somebody that I truly respect, you and Robbie, is that you've kept a physique for a lifetime. We can all look good for a moment, but can you look good for a lifetime? And you have, and Robbie has, and it's the nutrition outside of the gym that makes the true champion. And I just love hearing that from somebody like you, a true legend, one of the top 5 in the history of bodybuilding. So it's amazing. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Mike. My goal is I want to look good in my coffin. That's the ultimate goal. And so, yeah, I mean, you got to pay attention to everything, all those little variables. And the thing that I got the most value out of is I never really relied on measurements or body weight, how much I weighed, because I never really weighed a lot. Most I weighed in shape was like 190. And so I relied on photos. And my wife is an excellent photographer. She took countless color slides of me. And then Artie Zeller was around in those days, who was amazing. And, we had a lot of sessions with Artie. Some of my best photos were with him. And we really miss those guys. I miss Artie and Zabo and Joe Golden, all those pioneers, And
I promise this will be the last question. Did you ever play chess against Artie Zeller?
No, you know, I don't know how to play chess.
Okay.
I
Destroyed.
played Go. One of my favorite games was the Japanese or Chinese game of Go, where you play on the rectangular coordinate with black and white stones. That's my version of chess. But no, I've never played with him. But he was a very smart guy. Very smart guy. We had a lot of fun with him. He's very funny too.
Yeah.
You've met him when he was alive, haven't you?
Me and Mike could go on forever with these questions.
I know. I'm going to leave it alone. You got so many people here to talk to him. I'm going to go film this documentary about Frank right now. And I'm honored to be asked to be in this movie about you. But again, I just appreciate Clark doing what he does for his man's group and everybody bringing together, and Frank for taking inspiring.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Hey, Mike, before you leave, I have to ask the legend a question here. I have two questions for Frank. Number one, in your opinion, out of all the people you competed against, you know, so many people will say you had the best physique ever, but who do you consider to have the best physique ever?
I got to go with Steve Reeves. He's always been number one for me. And then next would be Larry Scott. I mean, Larry Scott had, you know, ideal body. The parts I liked most on Larry was delts and arms. But he was a great guy too. I remember the first time I talked with him was in 1965, backstage at the Olympia, where he was competing. And I got to talk to him close, and I couldn't believe what he looked like from about 3 feet away. He had all these fine lines in his delts, and that's something you didn't see from far back. I was really impressed by him. But you know, it's been great. All these champions that have been coming up through the years, and the fact that I was around and actually competed against almost all of them. Competed against Sergio, Arnold, Reg Park, Bill Pearl, Robbie, Mike Menser. So it's been a great honor.
Did you get along with Franco?
I did. You know, I mean, we're basically competitors. And, you know, I didn't like some of the tricks that he played to get ahead. But, you know, we got along good, especially when we were competing. But
I watched some interviews with him, and it seemed like he was throwing a little bit of shade at you, as the young people say, that, you know, your style compared to what I just thought it was interesting to see the competitive attitudes come out, even at a later stage in life. I mean, these are interviews with him, you know, just prior to his passing. And, you know, with him and Arnold, and someone asked, well, hey, what do you think, Frank Zane? He's like, yeah, well, you had challenged him one time. You said, I could beat you at anything or something like that. And I think it kind of rubbed him the wrong way.
Well, I couldn't beat him at deadlifting, that's for sure. He was amazingly strong. But you know what I learned this from Arnold too, is you should not talk bad about your competitors. If you say they're no good, that makes you look bad, because if they're no good, how good are you that you just barely beat them or didn't beat them? You got to tell that they're the best. These people were, and he always did. He built people up when he talked. He's a smart guy, you know, when it came to that.
So with that said, I have to ask you another question. Out of me and Mike O'Hearn, who has the best physique? Let's go.
You'll have to take your shirt off. I can't tell.
You
like
saw
that.
my magazine cover. I sent you yesterday. Me and Mike just did a 30-day blitz together. We've been comparing photos every day. We've been going at it at 4 a.m, treadmill, just getting after it. We got a little mini competition going on right now. So
right.
He and I do these pictures a lot together, where he's Arnold and I'm Franco. I'm down there, the little guy, you know, 3 feet shorter than him, doing the pose. We have several poses like that. And, you know, I don't know. It's a similar look between Arnold and Franco with me and Mike. We got kind of a similar relationship.
Okay, you're forcing me to answer that. I think Mike looks better in his T-shirt than you do in your hoodie.
There you go.
Look at that,
Pipes,
too.
baby.
Well, see, Mike's covered up all the time. Who's covered up? Mike's in a baby black T-shirt.
Keep them
Much
guessing.
love, everybody.
All right.
Thank you again.
The legend right there, Mr. Frank Zane. Mike.
I just got a text from Sadiq, and he said to say hello, Frank.
Yeah, Sadiq's a great guy. He was here about a year ago, and he's fantastic. I mean, what a great body he has. What great potential. You know, he's blowing up my phone right now going, he wishes he was on right now, too. I hope he
getting
doesn't bulk
bashful.
up because he's got the look right now. Ooh, look at that.
Yep.
Look at those
getting
abs.
bashful.
Yeah. Now what, Mike? Yeah. Mike,
Now what, Mike?
go.
That's hard to beat. Look at those abs.
And
You guys be good.
Is that normal at 57? I don't think so. Get out of here, O'Hearn. and go do whatever you got to go film your movie.
Mike, I think you'd make a great Hercules. You have the look.
Oh,
You
he's
still there?
gone. Thank God he
Oh.
didn't hear that. Otherwise, it'd
No, he would. He'd be the best Hercules.
Yeah, he really
Right up
would.
on the
He and
scale
I-
with Reeves.
He played Superman, and I played Batman in a short film. It was a lot of fun. But so, sir, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate this more than you could ever even understand. You are an absolute legend. We will be down this week to train with you, and I'm excited to come down and do some work. And we're going to get on the Frank Zane leg blaster and hit some legs and do all sorts
Okay.
of stuff.
Hey, just let me know what day you want to come, and I'll make sure have it open.
Okay, good deal. We'll
All right.
make it happen. All right.
Okay, I'll look forward to it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, take care.
All right.
Adios.
Okay. All right. Well, there you have it, gentlemen.